Long ago, when our parents first brought us to the church for baptism, I'm sure they thought they were doing us a favor. They were hoping to launch us on smooth sailing through life. But what they were really doing was sending us out into a storm-infested world with little to hold on to, except a tenuous faith that wrestles daily with doubt. Of course, our parents wanted the best for us, only smooth sailing, though they themselves probably had experienced some stormy patches in their own lives. We all want the best for our children, but life is never just smooth sailing. Yes, we can cruise along comfortably for years. We, attend school, we graduate, maybe get a job, move out, pay the rent, pay a mortgage, maybe marry somebody, raise kids, go to work, enjoy holidays, all in blithe tranquility, smooth sailing. The horizon seems clear. But suddenly, a storm blows up and we're caught unprepared. There's a downsizing, a recession, a job loss, a family crisis, a troubling diagnosis. It may just be a squall that quickly blows over, and life returns to the pleasant voyage it's been, but not always. Sometimes the wind howls and the swells heave, and sometimes it intensifies, and we feel like we're sailing into a force 9 gale. And our boat, which seemed perfectly adequate, is really no match for the fierce buffeting. And we know we're in over our head and out of our depth, and we're sinking. And we panic, Lord, help me, please. To be baptized is not magically to be protected from life's storms, as we well know. To be baptized is to be ceremoniously launched into a vast, unpredictable sea with hidden shoals and shifting currents into the great adventure of the Christian life. Far from being a pleasant cruise, it can be downright rough and risky. Fortunately, the baptized don't have to sail alone. Fortunately, we're all in this boat together. In today's gospel, Matthew tells the story of a frightening cruise. It's a miracle story. A miracle story. Really a kind of painted sermon about Jesus walking on water and Peter sinking like a stone. Lots of Renaissance artists love to depict this scene. Do you catch the pun here? Peter, in Greek, Petros. Petros in Greek actually means rock. So here's Peter, the grandstanding chief of the apostles, the chief voice of the early church, big, impressive Peter, struggling to keep his head above water. Peter, Petros, sinking like a Petros, like a rock. How embarrassing for him. How embarrassing. And as with all miracle stories in the Bible, we're to ask, what did it mean then? And what might it mean now, today? You have to remember first that in the Bible, the sea, the image of the sea, is a threatening metaphor for chaos and disorder. Monsters lived in the sea. It's not a metaphor for shuffleboard and deck chairs and a pleasant cruise and smooth sailing. So, to recap, it's a dark and stormy night at sea. At sea. Jesus' disciples set sail across the Sea of Galilee. There's just 12 disciples there alone in the boat without Jesus. Far from land, strong wind comes up. The boat is battered and tossed about. What's this story about? Is this a story about the boat? About the ark of the church? The church, in a tumultuous time of doubt and fear, the early church facing fierce headwinds of opposition and persecution, the fury of a midnight storm. And how many squalls has the church faced over 2,000 years? Think about that. How many squalls over the past 2,000 years has this boat gone through and still goes through today? In the midst of this dark, threatening storm, the captain of the boat, the rock, Peter, is steering the boat. And Jesus comes to the boat, to the church, to the 12 who are hauling on oars. At first, his sight, it's a ghost. There is alarm. And then assurance. Don't worry, it is I. It is I. Take heart. Do not be afraid. So there's impulsive Peter, impetuous Peter, the rock, the captain of the boat. He swallows his fear. He's a big man, and for some reason he thinks he's strong enough to navigate the wind and the waves alone, solo, by himself. And his brave venture out into the water almost succeeds until, Peter loses focus and he begins to doubt and worry, and down he goes. The rock sinks while the 11 are there in the boat watching helplessly. We want to say, Peter, just keep your eyes fixed on Jesus, right? And everything will be all right. Peter, if you just had more faith, then this wouldn't happen. You wouldn't have sunk. I wonder. Because Peter says a very peculiar thing at the start of the story that makes me doubt. Walking on water towards the boat, Jesus assures the disciples, it's me, it is I. But Peter says, Lord, if it's you, if it's really you, command me to come to you on the water. So here's Peter demanding proof of identity. He doubts Jesus is who he says he is. Notice, Peter says the very same thing that the devil says to Jesus in the temptation in the wilderness. If you are who you say you are, if you're the Son of God, prove it to me. Do this, do that. Turn these stones to bread. Jump off the pinnacle of the temple. Prove who you are. It's a kind of dare. Lord, if it is you, help me do something miraculous, set me apart from all those other people. Grant me an exemption from the laws of nature so I don't sink. I just wonder, is Peter speaking for the rest of us? Have we ever implored God for a special exemption? I have. Many times. Please, God, just this once, please, just this once, suspend the laws of the universe for my sake. And then I'll believe you. Just show you're on my side just this once. I know, I should have studied more rather than stayed up partying, but just, I really need to pass this French exam. Just this once, could you cut me some slack? And I need to pass this. And then I'll believe you, I'll trust you. Just do this once for me. Doesn't Peter illustrate our rather pathetic, meager faith? We all want God to put an end to our uncertainty and to do something for me so that I don't doubt anymore. Prove yourself to me. And I sometimes imagine Jesus correcting Peter, saying, "Why do you think you're so special, Simon Peter? Get back in the boat. Grab an oar like the rest of them." But that's not what happens. So as his bravado dissolves, Peter learns the hard way. He sinks with a nose full of water. "Lord, save me." And of course, Jesus reaches out and rescues him. "O ye of little faith, why do you doubt?" I wonder, does this imply that if our faith is really strong enough, we won't ever sink? No harm will ever come to us? That's magic. That's not faith. That's really using God as a lucky charm, as a personal talisman. And I wonder, does really admitting our honest doubts, our human fears, does that invalidate our faith? I don't think so. Because faith is really never about faking it. Real faith involves real doubt, real fear, real wrestling, an honest relationship with God. You know, we disciples in the boat, we are frail, unstable, fallible creatures composed of both faith and doubt that are always fluctuating and varying proportions as the day goes by. But notice, only Peter sets out solo. I'll do this all by myself. But isn't this really also a story about the crew? The ordinary disciples in the boat who never dreamed of abandoning their oars, who never dreamed of putting Jesus to the test, who are willing to just keep rowing against a stiff gale until Jesus comes into the boat with them. Were they looking for special exemptions? I don't think so. They were just looking for Jesus to join them in the boat. And that was when the wind ceased. And those in the boat worshiped him and still do. Truly, you are the Son of God.